let's get into tier one. And of course, this tier, you have called them the fantasy gods tier, which I appreciate. I called it the yes, please tier, having not seen what you put in the agenda yet. Either way, the yes, please tier, the fantasy gods tier. We're talking about Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts. As a guy who owned Jalen Hurts last year, I can tell you my team was pretty mediocre, and he made them a legitimate playoff team.
100%. That's the edge we were alluding to in the intro. One of these three guys, any one of them, you take your pick. I have obviously a 1, 2, 3, and we'll talk about who I go and why, because ultimately one is going to outscore the other, but you're going to be getting around 26 to 30 points per game from all three of these guys. And the big thing, as you see with Allen and Jalen Hurts, is that Konami code upside. That's really how the game has changed. Pat Mahomes is just a god of his own with that arm. But let's start at the top. Who do I have one? If you're considering, again, I don't think you can really go wrong, but you can be more right. And for me, the number one guy actually is not number one on ECR, ADP, or an underdog. That's Josh Allen, despite being the quarterback one, and quarterback two the past 3 years. He's got the cannon arm, the Konami goodness. You don't need me to sing his praises. But what's blowing my mind is how people forget last year, before the week 9 elbow, really significant injury that he gutted it out, he played through. He was averaging nearly 28 points per game, would have been the most we've ever seen at the quarterback position. The games 1 through 8, he had 5 of those 8 games over 30 points. I mean, it was just clockwork. You were getting 30 or more. If you had Josh Allen in your leagues, you understand you're probably 7-1, 8-0. You were killing it. And then he did really get limited. Now, he still consistently put up 20. That's just how valuable his legs were. But he couldn't throw it at all and still was regularly putting up 20 or so fantasy points. It was nuts.
QB2.
Exactly.
And you're saying for half the season he couldn't throw it.
Exactly.
So I don't know how he couldn't be the QB1. I mean, I get it. These other guys are great. Like I said, Hurts carried me all year. I mean, rushing touchdowns were just insane. I don't know how you could not have Allen one. I don't get it.
He was averaging over 3 points more per game than both Mahomes and Hurts when he was healthy, which is just 3 points or 3 points. Well, but when you're trying to pull out these pins and needles to compare these guys, it really does make a significant difference over that long stretch. You also add in Dalton Kincaid, a potential red zone monster, a big slot of guy of a tight end. Love that. And yes, sure, the team is saying he's going to run less. We have Damian Harris now, and that probably is true. Maybe his rushing touchdowns do get eaten into a little bit by Damian Harris, but when it's the clutch type of games, they're not going to hold their most dangerous weapon out from running at the stripe. So I still love Josh Allen. He's still my clear-cut number one guy of these.
Until somebody outscores him in a season where he was healthy, I'm gonna keep running it back with him.
100%.
Of course, number two. I mean, no one's gonna give you a side eye if you pick Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, the consensus QB1 by ECR ADP on underdog. And what can you say? The highest floor player at any position in fantasy. He loses Tyreek Hill and has his best season yet. It makes no sense. I don't get why that happened, yet he's always been the quarterback 1, 6, 2, 4, and 1 in his 5 years. He's been top 5 in points per game every single year. To me, he just doesn't have quite the ceiling of Josh Allen because he doesn't run as much. But, man, to do what he did, and now another whole offseason with Kadarius Toney, I think a very explosive weapon. They add Rashee Rice, who he's had a great rapport with so far in early OTAs. If they had DeAndre Hopkins, maybe I could flip this and then have Mahomes up at 1. But I just don't see the weaponry or the leg power to contend with Josh Allen, assuming Josh Allen stays healthy, as much as I love Mahomes. And I was worried last year. Losing Tyreek, I thought it was going to have a negative impact. But the fact that he performed how he did, my one other question with this is, I hope he's going to hit the wall at some point, right? He's almost 35. At a certain point, he is just going to drop off. And can Mahomes sustain without Kelsey? We know he can do it without Hill, so probably yes. The answer is yes. But that's going to be, I think, a deeper blow, just given how much of a safety blanket that's been for him over the years. I mean, ultimately, we can never doubt Mahomes, though.
So, I agree with you. First of all, I do think losing Kelsey would be a bigger blow. I also agree with you that I think he would figure out a way to still be awesome. And as far as Kelsey's almost 35, well, I mean, it's he had another great year. I'm not going to plan for the year being what if he drops off? He hasn't. I've seen excellent. I'm going to assume that is going to remain the case until it's not. It's just like how I was with the Jets. It's like I'm going to assume they suck until they prove to me they don't. Kelsey has earned me thinking he's going to be great next year. When you said Mahomes has the highest floor of any player, the only other guy I thought of was Kelsey.
Seriously, as safe as it gets, both of those guys. And if you can stack them up, especially an underdog, I'm seeing a lot. I've done it myself a bunch. You got to love it. You can't go wrong. QB3 is obviously then Jalen Hurts. He's quarterback 2 on underdog, but quarterback 3 in ADP and ECR right now. He was the quarterback 1 last year in points per game, but he has missed 2 games in both seasons. And I know 2 games. Again, we're talking about the top, the elite of the elite. If I'm spending a top 2 pick on a quarterback, I got to find those little pins and needles to pick at here. He does, though, 10 and 13 rush touchdowns, 750-plus rush yards in back-to-back seasons, the best line in football. No one's more dangerous at the goal line, honestly, even maybe among running backs, just because when he gets under center and he has an inch to go, the squats, the legs, he's such a strong driver when he gets in there. So I love Jalen Hurts. You know you're getting double-digit rushing touchdowns. You know him and A.J. Brown had that beautiful rapport, even better than we could have imagined. And just to summarize the tier, I mean, you really can't go wrong. To me, I just think Hurts has a lower floor to a similar ceiling as the other guys. But all 3 of these guys, the only way I look at him, how to separate him, I do think Allen, if you're just in a vacuum and you have no other incentive. But let's say you had A.J. Brown in round 1, Kelsey in round 1, or Diggs. Honestly, I'd be happy to stack them with the quarterback that I got. That's how close these guys are, that I could let the first round pick dictate which one I go to in round 2. But I only really am getting these guys if they fall to round 3. I just think there's too many good running backs and receivers in round 2 to pass up on. But if you did it, you can't blame. I can't blame you, especially if you feel, and if you follow the Roto Street Journal, you'll be able to find those later round gems, those penny stocks. You'll be able to work the waiver wire. I really think I'm going all in on early quarterbacks this year. Truth, these 3 are just so safe. I'm going to have a hard time avoiding them.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, but like you said, as these guys fall to round 3, I'm interested. But we're going to see as we hit these next couple tiers, there's plenty other good options on the board, if not on the level of these guys.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.